Okay, you're ready.
Thank you. The Legislation Committee for November the 2nd, 2021 be called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd,
Present.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderman Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderman Coder, Alderwoman Boyd,
Present.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Oldenburg,
Present.
Alderwoman Martin,
Present.
Alderwoman Navarro,
Present.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Here.
Chairman Balmer, President Reed.
Here.
9 present, you have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, so tonight we will be discussing Board Bill 101. And this is a public hearing to hear from the public. We will not be doing official business on approval of the minutes. We will not be voting on the board bill. What we want to do is hear from the public. We do have President Reed here that will kind of tee the public up on what the process has been like, what our objectives are, and we want to hear from as many people as public as possible. Now, I do have 4 people from the public sign up to speak. And I will have to say, starting out, that I'm very disappointed with all the transparency that we're trying to exhibit, that we wouldn't have more people here to speak on this important issue. This is a historic moment for the Board of Aldermen as it relates to redistricting. It has never happened before. Redistricting has always been done behind the scenes with committee members of the Legislation Committee with the Board of Aldermen, and aldermen have gathered together to decide if they want to support the map or not. But because we're going to be reduced to 14 members of the Board of Aldermen, the president, the chairman of the Legislation Committee, felt it was very important that we be as transparent as possible in this process and that we actually hear from members of the public. So that is what we plan to do. We're having this hearing tonight. We will have another hearing at 6 o'clock tomorrow to hear from the public. I've heard from numerous colleagues that have been out knocking on doors, sending emails out to people to inform them about this process. And I just want to say I'm disappointed that only 4 people have signed up. I'm hoping tomorrow I will be chairing as well tomorrow, unless the chairman of the Legislation Committee can be available. And I'm hoping we get way more people to participate in this process. At the end of the day, we have what we have. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to the president of the Board of Aldermen to kind of walk the public through this process. Some of us have heard his spiel before. I just want to say again, as a member of this committee and a member that's been down here 18 years, this is phenomenal. I mean, if you want to talk about transparency, you want to talk about public input, this has never been done before. And I'm hoping that we get more engagement from the community. We definitely want to engage our colleagues. There will be not one member of the Board of Aldermen that is absolutely happy with however the map may be drawn. There will not be one member of the public that will be happy in my mind about how the map is drawn. This map has been created, you know, in my mind by the individual who decided that they want to reduce the Board of Aldermen from 28 to 14. If it had remained 28, we probably wouldn't be, honestly, we wouldn't be going through this process, because 28 aldermen would have figured out if they want to remain aldermen, how we can massage the boundaries in a way that people can remain at the Board of Aldermen. But now we have 28. So it's almost like we're starting over from scratch when the city of St. Louis has been created. So with that being said, President Reed, I will yield to you to talk about Board Bill 101 and then open it up to the public.
All right. I just want to thank all the members of the public that signed up and the ones that are here just watching tonight. And also members of the committee for all the work that you've put in thus far. You know, we're still a long way from the finish line in terms of the lifespan of a piece of legislation, right? So we have a lot of work ahead of us to do. But thus far, I just have been so pleased with the just constructive input from the members of the board. There's still 2 additional members that I'm going to be reaching out to tomorrow to get some more information from them. And then we're going to begin that second round where we begin the refinement. And as you all remember, on some of the very densely populated areas down around Dutchtown and some of those areas, we left a variance inflated. So we're going to have to really work with that community and members of the board and the neighborhood organizations there to really figure out how we begin to merge that population into various different areas so that we have a clean, concise map at the end of it. And tonight's meeting is, my understanding is public testimony. And for some of the newer members, what that means is that this meeting would be just us hearing from the public. Is not one where we engage in debate and things of that nature, but it's where we hear from the public. And, to the members of the public, our schedule is listed on the website. We've created a portal and a website just for this process so that you can go there and you get information about, the current status. Whenever we come up with new revisions of this working draft, we will label it. So the next one would be working draft 2 and so on and so forth until we get to a final draft map. And all of those iterations and those changes will be posted up there as soon as there's agreement from all of the parties involved at the board that it's time to post yet another draft, and we'll continue to put that information out as close to real time as possible. Also heard, some discussion. The Post-Dispatch had printed an error about the data that was used to draw the map. All right, so we use the census data that's provided directly from the Census Bureau and to draw our map. So when we look at it, we use the total population. So if we're looking, I think the question was, what data that we look at when we were talking about, minority wards, that we use the total population that's provided from the census. That's the legal piece that we can look at. I know some people would say, well, there are other people that live there that did not want to be counted in the census. There's nothing we could do about that. We can't really count them. And we can only count them based on what the Census Bureau, what was reported to the Census Bureau and came back to the city, and that's documented. So that's what we're using. But again, thanks to everybody, and thanks to the folks who are here watching, and to the ones that will be speaking tonight.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that, we will go through the list of 4 people, but if I see there are people who have signed in, I would welcome an opportunity to hear from the people of the public if they raise their hand, if they have signed in. We did a public notice of how people can sign in. It's my understanding that maybe more people would like to speak that for some reason didn't understand how the process works. And if I can identify some of those people, I will give them an opportunity to speak, which would make me feel better, actually, because 4 people with public input on such a serious topic is pretty small. So we will open up for input, and we have right now signed up officially No speakers are registered for it. No speakers are registered against it. We have 4 speakers registered in opposition. The first speaker I will call is Wiley, and please forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong. Charge to the head, not the heart. No malice intent. Seisman. Is there a?
Alderman Boyd, yes, I'm here.
Okay, so did I pronounce your last name right?
Close, C-word, and no problem, it
C-word.
happens all the time.
Seward. Okay,
No
so
problem
Mr.
at all.
Seward, with our new rules, I must swear you in.
Okay.
And after I swear you in, I want you to again state your name and what 100 block you live in the city, and then you move into your testimony. So, Mr. Wiley Seward, right?
C-word,
I'm sorry, I just said Seward.
no worries.
Seward. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true, nothing but the truth and the truth, so help you?
Absolutely.
All right, you may proceed. State your name, state your 100 block that you live in and the city.
Great. Name's Wally Seward, live in the 2800 block of Louisiana in the 6th Ward. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. So I want to say that if you have a relatively few number of folks signed up to register tonight, I just want to make sure that you know that is not because of a lack of interest out in the community. I can guarantee you that based on the folks that I've been hearing from. I am guessing that there is quite a bit of confusion about this process in general, about what it's looked like, because it's easy to see what's happening from the inside, from where you all are sitting, from us out here trying to get information. It's been very, very difficult to understand what's happening inside of this process. The good news is that if you want to do good community engagement, you are not alone. There are a lot of experts in this city that will help you do community engagement and make sure that giving testimony is something that's accessible to everybody. So I would encourage you to avail yourselves of those experts in the community. So I want to acknowledge, first of all, and by the way, what's my time limit? Are we?
You have 3 minutes, and actually
3
I
minutes.
started late, so you have a generous amount of time. You had
All right.
2 minutes and 35 seconds.
All right, very good. First of all, I want to acknowledge that redistricting is hard, and no matter how you draw those maps, you're going to have someone angry at you. I'd like to suggest that you needn't have done this, that an independent commission could have done this. We may get that in the future. But for the moment, it is in your hands. So I want to just bring up a couple of points. Number one, early on in this process, if I remember correctly, there were conversations of 2 subcommittees that were going to be doing work on this process, one in North and Central and one on South and Central. Those committees were going to be doing a lot of the work. Have those committees ever met? Is there any record of their meeting? Is there any record of their discussions? What happened with that part of the process? Also, the public comments that are coming through on the portal, I am very much hoping that those will be available to the public to see as well. I haven't seen that happen yet. I'm hoping that happens soon in the future. The final point that I will probably make is I appreciate that as legislators who are used to doing things a certain way, the process here feels radically community engaged. I want to say that from the community end, it does not feel that way. Just as a, for instance, the confusion about voting age population or total population has been rampant in the community for the last day, and there's been no clarity on it. I'm glad to hear President Reed mention that it is total population that these districts are based on. Very, very glad to hear that. And so, yeah, I really want to just emphasize the degree to which it may feel like you're doing an open and public process. It doesn't feel like that from the outside yet, and would really encourage you to work a little more to make it available. And you know what? I will stop there and I will yield my time.
And I certainly appreciate you taking your time out. Next on the list is Sarah Levin.
Hi.
So I'm gonna jump
Okay,
in.
Miss Levin, hold up.
Oh,
Hold
I
up.
forgot.
I
Sorry,
have to
forgot.
swear you in. Do you promise that the testimony you're about to give is the truth? Number, do you promise, swear or affirm that it's the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right. So what I need you to do is, again, state your name for the record and the 100 block that you live in the city, and then you may proceed. Your 3 minutes start after that.
Great. 3 minutes is short. So my name is Sarah Levin. I live in the 2800 block of Magnolia, and I live in St. Louis City.
All right.
And I have been a resident of Fox Park for 14 years, served 6 years on our neighborhood association board in various capacities, completed our neighborhood leadership academy, the St. Louis Citizens Police Academy, served on the DeSales Community Board of Advisory Board, and participated in SLACO's Neighborhoods United for Change. I have founded a nonprofit in youth sports in the city of St. Louis, which I apologize if you hear background noise, I'm calling from there. And I work in South City at Anheuser-Busch during the day. And all of this is to say that I am deeply invested in our neighborhoods and their success. And I'm a very proud resident of St. Louis City. So firstly, I want to say shame on the Board of Aldermen for waiting 9 years to start this process. You wasted time trying to get the issue revoted on when you could have been planning better. And Alderman Boyd, I'm going to tell you that if you are disappointed in the community for showing up, the community is disappointed that we only found out about these meetings 5 days ago. And I only found out about it because I'm involved. So as far as transparency goes, the community just doesn't know about it yet. So please don't chastise the community for not showing up. But now to the point for which I'm speaking tonight. We do not have, I want to make a point that firstly, we don't have city services. We have a city that provides ward services. And splitting up our neighborhoods amongst different wards only makes that fact all the more evident. For example, Fox Park, where I live, is represented by 2 aldermen, one that has just 1 street in our neighborhood. The 6th Ward alderman, for which I live in, represents 9 different neighborhoods and none of them in their entirety. Tower Grove East is represented by 4 aldermen. The neighborhood system in St. Louis is stronger than ever, with communities forming new boards and seeing new leadership. When you break up those neighborhoods, it resulting in multiple representatives. You're slowing down communication. You're hurting the alderman's ability to do the best job they can representing the neighborhoods. Our aldermen are our key representatives and often the only way to get city services. By redistricting with neighborhood boundaries in mind, avoiding breaking up neighborhoods as best that you can, you make our communities stronger. We need to strengthen our aldermen's ability to help better represent their communities and get much needed services to them. I urge you not to break up neighborhoods where you can. I know that it's a difficult process, but 9 different neighborhoods for one alderman is
15
challenging.
seconds.
So please don't spread our aldermen so thin. If they're our best representatives and often the only way we get anything done.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Levin. Let me say this, and then I'm going to go back to President Reed to see if there's somebody who can maybe Tom that can come back and really talk about the process again, because all of our constituents are not engaged all at the same time. I want people to first of all stop saying that city services are ward specific, or even insinuating that it's the alderman that takes care of city services. That is the mayor. People elect the mayor of the city of St. Louis. The mayor controls all the staff that perform city services. It's not the alderman. And I want to be very clear with that. But Ms. Levin, one thing that you did say that is very important that we have talked about over and over again is about how we want to keep neighborhoods intact. And I think you bring up a valid point for me to just kind of step back and the committee to step back, and that we give an overview again on what's taken into consideration as we design these maps. So I want to appreciate and thank you so much for your comments, but I want to correct people when they say things that's really not true, because it's not the alderman's responsibility to get potholes filled and to provide city services. It is the mayor at the end of the day. So President Reed, I want to go back to you on whether you want to give a good overview of what's taken into consideration as we look at forming these maps, or if you want to, have a staff member, because that's critical and that's important. Because we've had this a couple of meetings before, if not 3, but this is the first time we've actually advertised. The city have gone out of its way to advertise in the newspaper, to put on Twitter, Facebook, every place we can to engage people. And by no means, as the chair of this meeting tonight, I want to chastise anybody. My only comment was to suggest that with all that we have done to generate interest, I'm disappointed that we don't have more participation. But guess what? The good news is we're going to do this again tomorrow. So for people who feel like they may not have gotten a chance to get on tonight, and I will try to get to as many people as possible, because my understanding is there are people who allegedly said they signed up, but maybe they didn't sign up the right way. I want to try to get to them because that is important to me. And I think it's important to the city and it's important to this committee. But what's more important, Mr. President, to me is that people understand what the process really looks like. So if you wouldn't mind.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So a couple things. We drew this first draft map with a couple things in mind. The first thing is working to try to keep neighborhoods together as much as possible. And the other thing is to keep our eye on, ultimately, one of the markers we have to meet is our federal requirement to draw a map that does not disenfranchise minority populations. So that's what this map is kind of the first stab at doing that. But one of the things that people are mixing the two things, and I think it's important to clarify that there are over 70 neighborhoods in the city of St. Louis. Over
79.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So over 70 neighborhoods in the city of St. Louis, and you have 14 aldermen. So divide 70 and 14. You're going to have some aldermen with multiple neighborhoods in it. I mean, some of these aldermen may have, ultimately, when we're done, more than 10 neighborhoods within their district, because some neighborhood organizations, some neighborhoods are very small. And then you have these mega neighborhoods. So one of the things that Ms. Sarah spoke about was having multiple neighborhoods for some of these aldermen would just be entirely too much work. But there's no way to get around that if you're reducing the number of members of the board, while at the same time trying to keep neighborhoods together. But we cannot jump over our federal requirement to keep neighborhoods together and let that be the driving force, because if the driving force is just to keep neighborhoods together, we'll end up in a situation where we will have walked right into gerrymandering. It's a tough thing, but I'm glad at the progress we've made thus far. We still have more progress to make.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make sure that as we have this conversation tonight, that everything's in the right context and that people are not mixing apples and oranges. So thank you for the clarity. The next person up is Sarah Phelps.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
We can. Thank you for joining us. So Ms. Phelps, do you affirm or swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, so you want to again state your name, state the 100 block that you live, the city that you live in, and then I will start 3 minutes after that.
Okay, great. I'm gonna put 3 minutes on my own timer so I can see it in front of me too. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Phelps. I use she, her pronouns. I live in the 4000 block of Arsenal Street in the 15th Ward. Thanks for involving the public and hosting this public meeting. I do echo Wally that there are a lot more opportunities to engage the public, and I hope that this committee and the larger board will take those opportunities beyond this hearing tonight and the one tomorrow. I also echo Ms. Levin, who said, she was disappointed that she found out about these only 5 days ago. I share that disappointment. I appreciate this is a difficult job and you're not going to make everybody happy. I do think that there is more that can be done to engage the public. And I hope that, I appreciate the timeline is the end of the year. I also think that, there's more ways to engage folks, and I'm trying to engage folks in my ward as well. So I have some process concerns and then some outcome concerns, and I'll try and stick to under my 3 minutes. So I agree with Alderman Boyd when he began the hearing saying it's so important that this process is as transparent as possible. I think that's a big part of keeping people engaged and trusting in our government and believing, that we can use that city services can make a difference to people. I'm really glad that there's a dedicated webpage to this, so thank you for that. And that there's the opportunity for both live meetings and people to give their input in writing, both through the portal online and by providing the address of the clerk online. So thank you for making that happen. Do you think that there's room for improvement, particularly with the software that's being used? My understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the software is only accessible to one person. And my understanding that that's President Reed and his office's staff. And I think, this is 2021. We can make sure that we're using a tool that more folks can use so that we can see the map in detail, and that alders and citizens can make maps ourselves and tinker with things to see how they work. I also just logistically had an issue with reading the map that's provided. The lines were thick enough that they blocked out some streets. And so I'd appreciate if there was a map that was provided in greater detail. And also hope that the input that is provided by the public is shared with everybody and not just the folks on this committee. I also want to say I was really glad to hear that this ward map is based on total population and not just voting age population, and agree that we need to keep it that way.
20 seconds.
Thank you. For outcome concerns, echoing I think what everybody said so far, is I think it's really important to keep neighborhoods together and minimize splitting those up. I know
I can't hear her.
Ms. Phelps, we can't hear you anymore, Ms. Phelps. Uh-oh, okay. So if you can hear us, Ms. Phelps, thank you for your testimony. We lost the last 20 seconds, I believe, of your testimony, but we will move on to Caroline Fan.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for making this meeting over Zoom and for caring about COVID precautions. My name is Caroline Fan.
Okay, Ms. Fan, hold up.
Sure.
Again, thank you for your willingness to participate. Do you promise to swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Girl Scout
Okay.
founder also.
And you signed up as a member of an organization. So again, for the record, just state your name, state the organization that you're representing, and your 3 minutes will start afterwards.
Name is Caroline Fan. I am the president and founder of the Missouri Asian American Youth Foundation. I started this organization so that Asian American Pacific Islanders have a comprehensive statewide voice around the census. As a matter of fact, I sat on and attended census complete count committees at the city, county, and state levels. So redistricting is based on the census, right? For the census, we say that everyone counts, and that includes actually, so you know what? I'm going to have to fast forward parts of this because thank you for addressing the VAP section. So we visited churches, we visited temples, including Resurrection of Our Lord Catholic, with over 200 Vietnamese speaking attendees. And so what the Census 2020 has found data-wise is that the city's AAPI population alone or in combination has actually increased 37% in the last 10 years. I use alone or in combination because that takes into account people who are multicultural, including fellow Alderman Narayan, who is both the city's first AAPI alder and of Irish heritage. And, you know, the multicultural population is really one of the fastest growing entities in America and in St. Louis, and that map does not account for a multicultural category. I think, you know, one of the things that we all know is the history of erasure that St. Louis has had of Mills Creek, of Hop Alley. And so I had always heard that people kind of in our community had moved out and were disparate. But one of the things I was really fascinated to find by opening Dave's redistricting app is that I was able to create 3 wards with Asian American populations above 10%. And actually, I was able to create a CWE ward with a population of 18% AAPIs. Right. And so when we talk about minority representation, when we talk about St. Louis, I reject the sense of a binary that this whole conversation is happening in, frankly, right? Because, and we talk about outreach, right? But we don't talk about language access. We don't talk about outreach in multiple languages. And I am really curious to hear more about the process that happened to engage folks, because the map came out yesterday, right? Something like 70 to 80% of people are visual learners. And, you know, we only had, I think, 5 days of prep before this meeting. So, you know, the population here is changing, right? And I think it's fascinating because there are precincts where Asian Americans make up 20, even 30% of the total population.
30 seconds.
So you guys have an opportunity to really think about where the city is going, right? To capture where the city is in the future. One could carve out a ward that, you know, could theoretically elect a Bosnian alder. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fan. I appreciate your comments. That is all the official individuals who have signed up for public input. But again, it is my understanding that there are some people who may be on that would like to speak. If they are there, if they want to raise their hand, or if someone, alderperson knows who they are. Alderwoman Martin, is my understanding that you had several people who wanted to speak, but didn't get a chance.
I just wanted to make sure that I think people were confused. Our policy is a little different than other government entities, so I wanted to ensure that people weren't, or they at least had a chance to speak, even if they didn't go through the exact directions.
Sure. And with such short notice, I'm not sure how we can get them elevated as participants.
Well, if they had shown up to let's be honest, if they had shown up to a meeting at before the pandemic at City Hall, they would be allowed to speak.
Exactly.
We're having this meeting tonight. I think if residents, it's a misnomer to say that people just don't care and they didn't sign up. They had very short notice. I still don't know exactly what the boundaries are on some of these maps. So I think it's only fair to let folks speak who've shown up for the meeting tonight.
Again, I'm not being disparaging. I'm not saying people didn't care. I'm just saying I've seen a lot of emails from my colleagues. I've seen, you know, there's been ads in the paper. All I said was I was disappointed. I'm not disparaging anybody. I'm not saying people didn't do what they were supposed to do. I'm just saying I was expecting a lot more people to sign up. That was just my little commentary, but it was not to be disparaging. But if people are on the edge to the point where whatever people say, folks want to take it in a negative light, then I mean, I can't do anything about that. But I want to be as transparent as possible. And I'm sitting here right now.
We keep bragging about being transparent. Let me just stop you there. We keep
No,
bragging
no,
about
you
being
stop.
transparent.
No,
At
no,
every
no,
meeting,
no.
we brag about being
No,
transparent.
no,
That is our
no, no.
job. It is our
No.
sworn duty. It is not a choice. We did not get elected to make a choice on whether or not we want to be transparent. We don't get to pick and choose. It is our job. So whether 4 people signed up or 450 people signed up, we have to be transparent. And
You're
people
right.
are
I
here, and the
apologize.
citizens are here, and I think that we let them speak.
Then where are they? Where are they? I'm asking. If they're here, I'm
People are
willing to
in
let
an
them-
attendees list, and I think they would like to speak.
But I don't
Maybe
know
I'm
who they
wrong.
are, Alderwoman. Please don't chastise me. I'm trying to work with everybody. I want to be transparent. And I don't appreciate you going off the way you just went off, because I'm willing to allow people, if they're an attendee and they need to be elevated to participate, I'm willing to do that. But I'm not patting myself on the back, and I reject the fact that we think that we're doing such a great job being transparent.
It's
That's
all we've
not
done in these
fair.
meetings is we keep patting ourselves on the back
It's
and bragging
no,
about
we're
how
not.
transparent
That
we are.
is,
We don't need
that's
to brag
your
about how
narrative.
transparent we are. I don't understand. You just said that they weren't signed up, we weren't going to let them speak. Are we going to let them speak or not? That was just my only question.
That's not what I said. That's absolutely not what I said. I said, if there's someone out there that needs to be elevated to speak, they can speak. If you want to cause confusion, go right ahead. I will sit here and let you speak for the next 20 minutes about confusion. I said, I want to be transparent, and that if people want to speak, and if they're an attendee and they need to be elevated, let's figure out how to allow them to speak. You can play the tape back. That is what I said. Don't attack me. I'm trying to be transparent. I'm trying to let people speak. But you're attacking me
Let's
for
let
no
them
good
speak.
reason.
We just keep talking. Why don't we just let them speak? If they're on the attendees list, let's just let them speak.
Excuse me.
Wait a minute. And you know what? I don't even know who's
May I
on
get
the
a point of
attendees.
order? Point of order.
Alderwoman from the 19th. You're right.
Point of order. As I sit here and listen, the only thing I want to do is the people that you asked to raise their hands and the people that he asked Alderwoman Martin to point out, please allow them to speak. Can we please move on?
I'll be
Thank
more than
you.
happy. And that's all I'm asking. How do we do it? I'm not trying to argue with the Alderwoman from the 11th ward. I want to be supportive.
We have some hands
I think the
up.
clerk, hold on a second. I think, let's refer to the clerk. The clerk can work through them, through that list. So
That's what they're doing. They counted the number of people who've had their hands up. They're working on that. So just allow the process to take place, please.
Right.
Madam Clerk.
Vice Chair Boyd, what I can do, I can look and see those with their hand raised, and I can just move them over to the attendees list, or I'm sorry, to the panelist list, and they'll be able to talk.
Thank you. And in doing so, Madam Clerk, would you please call on those persons? Because I can't see them.
Yes, sir, I will.
Would you call on those people as the next people to speak? Because I want people to be able to speak. I mean, we set this up as a public forum so that we can hear from the public. And if people didn't get the information correctly, let's correct it so that they can speak. I am not opposed to that. Matter of fact, I'm a little bit offended that it's been projected that we don't want people to speak. I want people to speak. So, Madam Clerk, I'm going to turn it over to you to facilitate and let us know who's next to speak, because I want as many people who's as an attendee to speak.
Yes, sir, give me just a second. Let's see. Reverend Charles Norris.
Reverend Norris, if you're there, you're recognized to speak for 3 minutes. Reverend Norris, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Reverend Norris, do you promise or affirm that the testimony you're about to give, the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, so, and I have to be clear now. So if you're representing an organization, you need to, again, just state your name and the organization you're representing. If you're representing yourself, please state your name and the 100 block that you live and the city that you live in.
Okay. Well, I'm representing both, representing the St. Louis Metropolitan Clergy Coalition, of which I'm the president, and then as myself, as a citizen of the 6200 block of Roseberry in the 28th Ward. The issues that I would like to bring up, as we've heard about preserving neighborhoods, it is of grave concern that not only do we understand preserving neighborhoods, but the issue are the services that are in neighborhoods, a more equitable distribution of those services. We marginalize people in the city of St. Louis are marginalized. So when we have these forums, often they continue to be marginalized, not having the technology or not being able to get the information in the way that some people that have access to it do. So there are some natural inequalities that continue to be evident when we try to reach out to people. So we really would like to see that, and as we look at the equitable distribution of services, that it might be based upon the number of people in various populated areas. I think that would be most important for us to do, so that we might have a long-term and a short-term solution to addressing these inequalities that continue to plague us in our city, because it doesn't matter how many alderpersons we have if we continue to have the services concentrated so that a few have plenty and that the many have hardly anything at all. Those are my comments.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your input.
And the next speaker is Gordon.
Gordon is our last name.
That's the only name, Gordon.
Is there a Gordon?
Yes, Gordon Carlson.
Okay, Mr. Carlson, can you please turn your video on for us, please?
All right.
Okay, Mr. Carlson, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. So for the record, again, state your name, the 100 block that you live, the city, or if you're representing an organization, the organization.
Gordon Carlson. I live in the 5600 block of Etzel. And I just heard about the meeting yesterday, and it was only at 6 o'clock that I actually got a link to get on. So I didn't think that the communication was very good, that probably a lot of other people didn't know about the possibility. I don't have any apparatus that can expand the map. So I want to ask a couple questions and clarify where the eastern boundary of C, E, and F, what street is that?
Okay, Mr. Carlson, we're just taking public comment at this point, and it's not a Q&A.
Okay. Well, I think that there are interesting designs in this neighborhood, and it'd be very helpful to know how to get clarification on where the distinctions are between B and E and F and E. It looks like the Bolivar Place is included with other places north of Del Mar, but it looks like it's hard to tell exactly from the map what streets are where, and so I don't know when and where there will be a map available that will be big enough to see what the streets actually are.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Carlson?
No.
Thank you. I've been knowing Mr. Carlson for probably 30 years. I certainly appreciate all the work that you do in our community. Thank you for participating tonight.
The next, I'm sorry, Chairman.
Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Marquise.
Okay. Mr.
ready.
Marquise,
Mhm.
do you promise or affirm, swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, so again, state your name, state the 100 block you live in, the city, if you're representing the organization name. You have 3 minutes after.
I live in the single-digit blocks of Grand. My older person is Marlene Davis. What else? Did I answer all the questions there? 19th
You
Ward.
did well. Go
Okay.
right ahead.
My name is Marquise Govan. I'm representing myself. I just wanted to start off by saying that developing a map without public input first is kind of goes against the entire narrative of transparency to me. There are plenty of other cities that have developed ways to first engage with community and actually draw maps with the community involved with that. I just want to say that we had 9 years to draw a map. We had 9 years to develop a process to draw a map. And it seems as though we started this process 5 days ago, which is which is very concerning to me. I also want to say that putting out a map a day before and then holding a hearing after that also goes against the general narrative of transparency. No one can read and look at that, just like Mr. Carlson noted, look at this ward map and see exactly where certain lines are even drawn. What's interesting to me is that demographers and map makers that I've seen, particularly on Twitter and on Facebook, who've tried to get down to see where these lines are, don't even know where they are, which I find incredibly concerning. The other thing is that this map was developed with a system apparently that only allows one user. And to me, that seems quite convenient for control for one person and not community input. But that's neither here nor there. There are plenty of other ways to create maps that would allow members of the community to draw them. Miss Vaughn actually referenced one of those earlier today, and that platform is particularly free. I also wanted to mention that I do have certain concerns about the current map in terms of Alderwoman and Gracia being drawn in what I believe is District I. I know Ward L is overpopulated. And I also share Carolyn Fahn's concerns about the inclusion of other racial minorities in terms of Asian Americans and Latinos, which President Reed referenced as growing populations within his report.
30 seconds.
We
can't hear you.
We lost his voice.
30 seconds, we can't hear you. Mr. Govan, okay, he's having connection issues.
Can you hear me now?
You have 11 seconds.
And I think there would be far more community input had we had prior notice. And I wanted to thank you for allowing me to speak. Hope you're.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time out your evening to be with us. Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Hilliard Phillips, Hilliard.
Mr. Hilliard. Mr. Hilliard.
It looks like I'm not able to move him over.
Okay, can we come back to him after?
Oh, he declined to be a panelist, so I guess he didn't want to speak.
Okay.
Or he or she, I'm sorry. Gina McClendon.
Hi, I'm Gina McClendon.
Okay, Ms. McClendon, hold tight for me. Thank you for being with us. Do you promise, swear, or affirm that your testimony will be the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so what I want you to do for the record is, again, state your name, the 100 block that you live, and the city, or if you are representing the organization's name. And then your time will start then.
Okay, my name is Dr. Gina Gunn McClendon, and I live in the 5000 block of Minerva in the 18th Ward. So I want to start out by echoing the sentiments of other people regarding your behavior, Chairman. I'm quite disappointed that you've spent about 10 minutes talking about your disappointment and people not participating. I only found out about this on Sunday. And then to top it off, to throw the mayor into the conversation, I thought was in poor taste, because if I'm contacting city services and I can't get anywhere, I'm not calling the mayor's office. I'm going to call my alderman and say, hey, I'm looking to have such and such done. So I thought that was in poor taste. And I really think you owe everybody an apology. My comment is also echoing some of the other things that people said about the names of the street. You can see the map. It's very poorly drawn. You can't tell where the streets are. And I live in a very, very small corner of the 18th Ward. There are only 3 blocks on the north side of Page. And so it's very difficult to tell whether or not where the map is drawn. So I would appreciate it if you in the future would do that. The other thing I think should have happened is if we could have had a picture of the map as we were having this discussion. I think that would have been helpful as well. So in the future, I hope that you are able to do that. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your comment.
The next speaker is Maggie Mcfadden.
Matthew McFadden, is that what you said?
No, sir, that was Maggie, M-A-G-G.
Oh, Maggie McFadden. Okay. Is Miss McFadden available? Miss McFadden?
Okay.
I can't see her from my screen. She just popped it up. Miss McFadden, can you start your video?
I thought I did. Excuse me 1 second. Okay.
There she is. Miss McFadden, good evening. Do you affirm or swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, so if you're representing yourself, again, state your name, the 100 block you live in, or if you're supporting the organization, speaking on behalf of the organization, state the organization. You have 3 minutes afterwards. Go ahead.
Maggie Mcfadden. I live in the 5300 block of Coke Brilliant in the 22nd Ward. I just wanted to say, first of all, we need to stop throwing shade on each other, because that's part of our problem. We spend more time arguing with each other than we do in trying to resolve our problems and issues. Having said that, I think that a better job could have been done or should have been done of getting the information out. I just learned about it last week. Now, what I did is I took that information to my church and distributed it among people there. I think that had the board sent those flyers or other information out to more churches and community organizations, they would have gotten more participation. We have to take into effect that a lot of our citizens in the city are elderly, and they don't have access, nor do they choose to access Twitter or Facebook. I use it for very specific purposes. I have one Facebook friend, and that's my daughter. But we need to have better access to that map, because I couldn't get it at all. So I have no idea what the proposed boundaries are. And it would be a lot more effective if we had an idea of what the proposed boundaries are. Now, I understand that everybody wants to keep neighborhoods together, and neighborhoods are important, but adequate representation from the neighborhoods that are going to remain needs to be considered. We need to make sure that everybody has adequate representation and has a voice in what goes on in the city. And with that, I'm done.
Well, thank you, Ms. McFadden. And as she said, she's a representative of the 22nd Ward. I certainly appreciate you coming out tonight, and have a good evening. Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Damien.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay. Damien, we can see you, we can hear you. You just blanked off. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Thank you.
Okay, Damien, for the record, state your, we know it's Damien, so state your first and last name, the 100 block that you live in. If you represent an organization, that organization. But first and foremost, do you promise, you affirm or swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
My
Please
name is
proceed.
Damian Johnson. I live in South City of the 20th Ward, and I am representing me at this time. And I just wanted to comment on looking at this map, which is not a very good map. And yes, I am one of these people to not only to hope to keep communities together, keep Cherokee together, but I'm also hoping to maybe use this map to improve representation. I'm looking at map F, and then I'm looking at the top one of map E, and looks to me that the only time where map E goes below south of the Delmar line is at Delmar and the Wallaber. If I see this line that may represent a bike path that I used to ride on. Well, one thing what I was hoping on is merging such a beautiful community of Skinker Developer and north of Delmar, where I know currently the 26th ward is over by just north of the neighborhood. I still know people there. Merge that where you can ride your bike down Porter Park and continue down past the Wallaber into Forest Park area, where we can actually merge people together in a small community, and we can use these maps to unite people of different income, whether it be students, longtime residents, in different income. I don't see that in map in District E and F. I see a division, and I think this could change where not only you can have a runoff of competitive older people, but we can use this map to improve the community. And I will you'll see my email as I study it at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out. Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Carissa Gilman Hernandez.
Hello, can you all hear me?
We can. Ms. Hernandez, thank you for coming out tonight. Do you affirm or swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, for the record, again, state your full name, the 100 block you live in, the city, or if you represent an organization, your name and the organization.
Absolutely. My name is Carissa Gilman Hernandez. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I live in the 4500 block of the Lozin and serve as the 15th Ward Committee woman.
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. So I had to raise my hand to speak tonight because I didn't have fully formulated thoughts on this process because I saw the map yesterday. It's a map I couldn't fully see because the lines were so thick. I couldn't actually get an idea of where specific roads were and if those were actually the dividing lines. Beyond that, it was only available online. There was no printed version that was available to any residents who might not have access to a computer. You all couldn't even have given us a weekend to look through. I saw better, more usable maps created by people on Twitter than anything that came out of the Board of Aldermen. I've been watching this process in other cities I've lived in, and it's been going much smoother elsewhere. So St. Louis, we have work to do. Beyond that, we aren't near the finish line, clearly. You all need a gobsmack more engagement around this. You all could have brought in the committee people to start engaging people in our wards about what they wanted. You could have worked with each alderman to ensure that there were town halls on this. We could have made them digital, we could have made them in person. There was lots of options. We have chosen to ignore all of those options. So now we are at a deadline point and you all are asking for our opinions on a map that we can't really see. I would like to know what is going to happen in the near future to ensure that there's actual engagement. What are you all going to do that the next version of this map, and with one of the wards being 25% population up, I don't think the map that you gave us is actually a map that's usable. I think the next map we're going to see is going to be vastly different. And so what are you all going to do to ensure that there's actual engagement around that? What are you all going to do to ensure that there's transparency, which apparently is a favorite word now? And I'd like to know what you all are going to do to ensure that we're reaching residents who aren't on Twitter and who aren't on Facebook. We're really missing a lot of voices in this conversation because this is on Zoom. I know that there's a global pandemic, but there's also ways around that. Like I said, I don't have fully formed ideas because you didn't give us time to create fully formed ideas. And I hats off to all of my residents in the who've been on here tonight who have had
30
better
seconds.
thoughts, because they clearly did more work on this than I had time for, and I commend that. And I look forward to speaking at the next iteration of this map.
Thank you. Appreciate your time tonight. Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Walter Bonner.
Mr. Bard, are you going to swear me in?
I will. You just populated for us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so we want you to again state your name, the 100 block you live, the city, or if you represent an organization, your name and the organization. And after that, you have 3 minutes.
I'm kind of dual representation here. I'm representing myself, and my name is Walter A. Bonner. I live in the 26th Ward at 934 Maple Place in the 26th Ward. And I also am president-elect for the West End Neighbors Association, coming to 2022. I have to echo what many of the people said in terms of the community engagement and communication. I also just recently learned about this process and this meeting. Kind of disappointed. I think the community could have done a better job communicating this process to our neighbors and throughout the community. But what I most want to recognize is because I live in the 26, I'm on the kind of in the central corridor area where we have what's known as a phenomenon as a Delmar divide. And my point is that I did not see where this map, this draft map, made any attempt to break down, or didn't, I won't say made any, I don't see where this map made enough attempt to break down and bridge north and south wards. And I would like to just point that out to everyone. We know we have a divide in this city. We should do everything we can to bridge those north and south, especially what we call the Delmar divide. And unfortunately, I don't believe I saw that in this draft map.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Tim Taylor.
Mr. Taylor, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what you do is state your name, the 100 block you live, and the city. If you're representing the organization, state your name and organization. You have 3 minutes thereafter.
My name is Quentin Spurlock, and I own a home in the 5400 block of Gilmore. I guess that's the 27th Ward. I also own a home on the 8600 block of Broadway. And I've owned that home for 5 years, and I don't know what ward that is. I guess my time starts. I just want to talk a little bit about being transparent. Like I said, I've owned that home for 5 years. I just bought the home on Gilmore not even 2 months ago. And I've talked to Mrs. Boyd, consistent as far as being transparent, just like they said, as far as the map, if what the other guy said is true, I haven't done my due diligence. But if this has been going on for years, I've owned a property in the city for 5 years. My mom has owned one for even longer, but she's deaf. And I haven't any type of communication going out to me. I haven't received anything in the mail. I haven't had any of my neighbors tell me anything about any of this. So as far as transparent, I can't really say that that's going on. I also want to talk about age because I've noticed I don't know if I'm being ignorant here because I haven't done my due diligence on a lot of things yet because I'm new to all the committee stuff. But all my friends, everybody that I know that owns a home that's under 30 in the city, like when I told them about the redistricting, like they head spun, you know, so I just feel like we get a lack of information. I don't have Facebook, Twitter. I'm not on social media. So if there's not a sign posted up somewhere in my neighborhood, if somebody's not calling me, interacting with me directly, I'm not going to get it. I'm not on social media. I don't have anything to advertise on social media. So I'm not on there. I'm not following nobody. I'm not looking after nobody. So I expect those things to be in my community for me to find. And like I said, I've owned a home on Broadway for 5 years, going on 6. And I've never even talked to my alderman, and there's vacant homes all up and down the street. So I just can't feel like we're being transparent if this has been going on for 9 years and the map just got released recently. The other thing is, if we're talking about transparency, like I said, I got friends that are under 30 that Ms. Boyd added me to a specific email list where I received this email where I was invited to this. I didn't get a time frame or anything like that until I received the email from her. Like I said, I have a house on Broadway. My other alderman hasn't contacted me at all. And I'm a little upset because I do things over there, like clean the alley, like I cut grass over there of vacant properties next to mine. I call the forestry division. I do all those things. You know, I got trash cans added to certain alleys, and it's like I've never heard from my alderman at all. So I can't believe that we're being transparent or we're even trying to reach out to younger people, the youth, and letting them know, because I got friends that own property that's 21, 22, 23, and they never hear from their aldermans. And I'm
30 seconds.
So I'm just here to let you guys know that I am going to be here. I am going to be listening to what people say. So I hope people are being transparent because it's a big portion of us. Like she was talking about, I can't be ignorant to say what she was talking about, but about the other, you know, biracial people. There's a lot of Black people that aren't informed of what's going on in their community. And I feel like that's not okay. So even with this redistricting, we have to inform all the people in the community, whether we're sending out flyers, posting stuff for people to see when they're going through. But we got to do a way better job of being transparent if that's what we're doing. Because I can't believe I never. I
appreciate your comments.
I appreciate you
coming out. Stay engaged, sir. Appreciate it.
I'm going to be transparent, so I'm going to be engaged.
Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Nate. That's just the first name, Nate.
Nate, going twice. Nate, 3 times. Madam Clerk, please move forward.
He's there, he's just not unmuted.
I can't see him on my screen.
Is it talking about me or somebody else?
That's the only name. It just said Nate, that's all.
Yeah, they're probably talking about me because I go by Nate, but I'm Nathan also.
Is it Nate STL? Is that right, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
We want to make sure we get the right.
That's me. That's me.
Okay. All right. So, sir, if you would state your name and matter of fact, state your name for the record so we make sure we're talking to the right person. What is your name, sir?
Nathan Cromwell.
Okay, Mr. Cromwell, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so again, state your name, state the 100 block you live in. If you represent the organization, state your name and organization that you're speaking on behalf of. You have 3 minutes thereafter, sir.
All right. My name is Nathan Cromwell. I live in the 2000 block of Malamphy Street. I'm in the 3rd Ward. And I would like to thank Mr. Boyd and Mr. Reed for having me. My alderman, as you know, is Brandon Bosley. And he and Rasheen Aldridge told me about the map. And I disagree with the outline of A and D. I think St. Louis Place should be in D because A is too big. And one alderman is not going to be able to just do A. So I would like to see St. Louis Place and Old North and maybe Carr Square in D. And a lot of neighbors I've talked to also agree with me. I have made my own marking on the map, and I sent it to my alderman. I sent it to James Page. I sent it to my friend Jamila Nasheed. I sent it to Rasheen. They all agree and they like it. And I would like to also get it to you, Mr. Boyd, which I sent it to your messenger, so you can look at it. Tell me what you think when you look at it. And me and my family just want to make sure that we get represented and we don't get left behind, and that all the neighbors in this area, no matter what their color, race, or creed, all get represented.
All right. Well, we appreciate you.
All
Thank
right,
you so
thanks.
much.
Uh-huh.
And continue to be engaged.
Yep.
Madam Clerk.
The next speaker, Randy Barnes.
Mr. Barnes. And I can only see, just for people to know, I can only see 12 people on the screen at one time without scrolling through. Mr. Barnes going twice. Mr. Barnes, Madam Clerk, do you see Mr. Barnes?
I'm looking now, Chairman.
Okay, we have to move on.
Okay. Danielle Spradley.
Miss Danielle. Going twice. Is it Scraggly? Clerk.
Spradley, S-P-R-A-D-L-E-Y, Danielle Spradley.
Hi, I apologize. It just sent me the prompt, so that's why you couldn't hear me.
Okay, Miss Spradley, welcome. Do you affirm or swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, so what we want you to do is state your name for the record, the 100 block you live on, and the city. If you're representing an organization, state your name and the organization, and you will have 3 minutes thereafter.
I am representing myself tonight. I am in the 9th Ward. I'm in the 3300 block of Ohio Avenue. My alderperson is Mr. Gunther. I don't have testimony. I just have questions. I want to know as a community member, again, like the map was just released last night. Then there were confusions in the paper on statements on how the ward maps were drawn. Again, like everyone else, it's confusing. If I go to look at the map on the BOA website, I can't really tell how this process was done or break it down because the lines are so fat on the ward maps. And so I also want to understand the community outreach process so that we know that the entire community is being engaged. I'm someone who is highly politically involved and I'm on Twitter all day. But what about, in fact, too much? How do people that are not on Twitter, annoying, I'm sure all of you, as you know, and complain about us quite often, how do those people in the rest of the community get this information out? What outreach efforts are being made? And I'm more confused when we're talking about this being a public meeting and talking about transparency. Why are we being told we're not here to ask questions, we're here to testify? The whole point of me being here is to ask questions to understand how this process has been done. What are the ward lines and what was the methodology? That's what the public meeting should be for. And that is my testimony against is if you're going to have public meetings, then actually let people ask questions and get answers. Not you have to provide testimony on something you just have seen. And it's a complicated process. Even people that are highly politically involved and pay attention don't understand and get right. So we should be able to have a real public meeting where the community can really ask questions. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time tonight, being engaged with us. Madam Clerk.
Ken Haggerty, Haggerty. Ken is the first name.
Mr.
Good
Haggerty.
evening. Thank you so
Sir.
much.
Mr. Haggerty, thank you for joining us. Do you affirm or swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, please state your name for the record, the 100 block you live on, and the city, or if you represent the organization, your name and the organization. You have 3 minutes thereafter, sir.
Very good. Thank you so much to yourself and to the entire Board of Aldermen. I am Ken Haggerty. I live on the 2800 block of Wyoming in St. Louis. And my comment is going to be very short, just because I did want to share that I was able to put together a high definition version of the map to the best of my abilities, of course. So if there are any errors, please let me know. But it is on Google Maps. So you can see it here. I'm just going to put this up so you can see, you can zoom in. You can see where all the boundaries are. It even includes the neighborhood level census data. I didn't have access to the block by block level census data yet. So you can kind of see, get an idea of where the populations are and where the borders are in this first proposal that was put together. I had a lot of fun putting this together. And again, to access this map, it is available through the short link, bit.ly/SCL redistricting 1. So I will bring this onto the screen so everyone can see what that looks like. I'll make that text a little bit bigger. So if you just type that into your web browser, bit.ly/STLREDISTRICTING 1, that will take you directly to this comment, to this map, and you can see all the different layers on here. I just wanted to share that because I know the initial maps were a little hard to read. There's definitely some interesting borders going on, especially down here by Carondelet, where I guess the highway on-ramps, they want to put that in District L for some reason over here. Interesting kind of decision. But again, if there are any errors, please let me know. I'm happy to update it. But I just want to make sure that everyone has access to this, especially since it has been a point noted by other speakers today that they wish they had the map available while we spoke. So that's all. Thank you so much to everyone. Good luck. This is a tough process. I'm really eager to see how it turns out.
Thank you, Mr. Haggerty. If you don't mind, if you would put that link in the chat, that would be excellent. We appreciate
Absolutely. And it looks like I do have access to the chat now. I will put it there as soon as I turn my screen around. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your participation. Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Dan Seisman. Dan.
Hello.
Okay, Mr. Seisman, welcome.
Simon, Daniel Simon is my full name.
Simon, Mr. Simon, welcome. Do you affirm or swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, so we want to start out by you again affirming your whole name, the 100 block you live in, and the city, or if you're representing an organization, your full name and the organization you represent. And you have 3 minutes thereafter, sir.
Hi, I'm not representing any organization. I'm a proud member of the Northampton Neighborhood Association. I'm in the 23rd Ward and 5400 block.
5400 block of what, sir?
Philosen.
Thank you. 3 minutes.
There's been a lot of talk about transparency tonight, and I just think that the people making the decisions of this map, certain things need to be disclosed by them. This new map came out, and the chair, who is not here tonight, Alderman Vollmer, he is the chair, and just so happens that he's also been mapped into a ward to where he is the only resident alderman in that entire ward, where other ones have 3 aldermen mapped in there, and some of the lines appear to be drawn just to cut certain alder persons into the ward so they could gerrymander some certain alder people out. If you take a closer look, you can see what I'm talking about. The other thing is if anyone in making these decisions have received any taxpayer funded grants, have used any taxpayer-funded money for their own businesses. I think that should be disclosed too, for transparency reasons. The lack of, notification to the citizens and people involved in this is just a failure of our legislative body. I just can't believe that something this important is just being rushed. St. Louis is known as a mapping intelligence center, and we can't, and the people making decisions for our city can't put this together in a better format. I just feel like it's just been an utter failure to this point, and I truly hope that it gets better and we see a map that fully represents our city. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Seisman, for being engaged. Appreciate your comments, Madam Chair, Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Harry Wilson.
Mr. Harry Wilson.
Yes, I am here.
All right. Mr. Wilson, welcome. As soon as we see your video, we will swear you in.
All right. Well, I don't know why you can't see the video.
We don't know either, sir, but as soon as we see your video, we will swear you in.
Let me punch on it again and see if it comes up. I mean, I can say what I can say without the video.
You will not be allowed to testify unless we see your video, sir.
Oh, well, let me try again. Oh, here, I see.
There
Yeah,
you
now
go.
now I'm
we
there.
see you, Mr. Wilson. You're online now. So,
Right.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes,
you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, done but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, so there's two options. Representing yourself, please state your name, the 100 block you live on, and the city. If you're representing the organization, state your full name and the organization. You have 3 minutes thereafter, sir.
My name is Harry Wilson. I live in the 4500 block of Pershing in the 28th Ward. My representative is Alderman Navarro. I have two things to say. One, I want to thank the board, all of the board, including the president, for all the hard work they've done in producing this map. I'm sure it's not the final. I'm sure it's not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot of work. And if you want to compare it to some other nearby institution, why not compare it to St. Louis County? They can't even agree on who's on the board. Next, on the issue of inclusion and transparency, I understand the complaints, but I might want to remind ourselves that none other than the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, won't give anything to Congress, and nobody seems to care. And the Republican leaders of the United States Senate and the United States House of Representatives stand behind him and won't let anything go to the committee that's investigating January 6th. And nobody seems to care. So I think by comparison, this Board of Aldermen is doing a heck of a good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wilson. Appreciate your comments and being engaged tonight. Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Mr. Farrakhan Shagag.
Okay, and Madam Clerk, let me interject real quick, just so that the next speaker will know that they're coming up, because I know it's kind of hard to know who's next. Would you announce who the next speaker is after Mr. Shagag?
Will do. We have one more person after that, and that person is Elaine Laura after Mr. Shagag.
Okay, so Miss Elaine Laura, please be on standby. Mr. Shagag, you're ready.
Good afternoon. Well, good evening, everyone.
Okay, Mr. Shagag, you have to turn your video on, sir.
Oh. All right. Is it on now?
Now you're on. So do you affirm or swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, so we want you to state your name, the 100 block you live on, and the city. If you're representing the organization, state your full name and the organization. You have 3 minutes thereafter, sir.
For sure. Thank you, Alderman. So Farrakhan.
And you must have your video on during the testimony, sir.
All right, can you still see me?
No, we cannot.
Okay, what about now?
We cannot. Now we can.
Oh, okay. So good evening, everyone. Farrakhan Shigog. I am representing a coalition of organizations, one included being the Federation of Block Units, which represents block units and block leaders from all 79 neighborhoods in the city of St. Louis. I'm also coming on behalf as the Senate Independent Bipartisan Commission set up by the state of Missouri as the commissioner for the 1st Congressional District, tasked with drawing state Senate lines of the 1st Congressional District in the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County. So I'm happy to be here today, and I just want to just urge that this committee strongly consider adding additional town halls where community input can be solicited, and also where community input and feedback can really be massaged. As a commissioner that serves on the state Senate redistricting commission, we hear terms a lot in regards to transparency, in regards to equity, in regards to fairness. But all in all, I know that the task that this legislative body has is really it's not easy. It takes a unique person to really take on this task. And with that being said, I just think that it's really important that everyone that gives testimony, and everyone that gives comment, that they be as specific as possible when they are describing what communities, what neighborhoods, what community interest needs to be kept together, and so forth. I do know that from my experience on the state Senate redistricting commission, that we hear a lot that communities deserve to be kept together, communities that have historical ties, communities that have economic ties, communities that have cultural ties, and even educational ties. I would urge that this committee to keep that at the forefront of your minds, and also keeping it to the forefront, keeping this process at the forefront of the people. We should also be mindful that this process is a people's process, not a politician process. This is a process that should
30 seconds
to empower and to equip residents of the city of St. Louis about this process. And I believe by having additional town hall meetings on this process, I believe that we have an even greater opportunity to keep empowering the residents of the city of St. Louis as it relates to redistricting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Shigog. Madam Clerk.
I believe the last speaker is Elaine Laura.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Laura. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, but the whole truth? No, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, so again, state your name if you represent yourself. Just state your name and the 100 block you live on and the city. If you represent the organization, state your full name and the organization that you represent. And you will have 3 minutes thereafter, ma'am.
Well, thank you. My name is Elaine Laura. I'm not representing anybody but myself, and I live in the 4400 block of Enright. And I just want to say that I am a relatively small student of Dr. King, but his words, judge me by my character, has always meant quite a lot to me. And yesterday in the first meeting, I thought I heard too many people talking about 7 black wards and 7 white wards. And I just want us to move closer to being judged by our character and not be afraid that we have wards that illustrate that we value diversity. And I must really compliment Ms. Navarro and her committee. I know that the alderwoman, I can't remember her name, but I thought they did an excellent job comparing other governing legislative bodies and showing their salary schedule and the amount of support that they had in completing their jobs. But I thought I heard that there was a feeling that reducing to 14 wards might be undue labor, and the Board of Alder people need support in serving the community. And I wondered, well, who's in charge of the stabilization officer? Because my first line of attack when I have a problem is to call the Citizen Service Bureau. And I think that they support the Board of Alder people. And then if I don't receive support from the Citizen Service Bureau, then I call the committee woman. And I must compliment her. Dwindlin Evans is an outstanding committee woman in the 4th Ward, held monthly meetings that I never missed. And
30 seconds.
And then after I called the committee woman, then I would go, if needed, to the alder person. But if we train the public to stabilize, Citizen Service Bureau, stabilization officer, I think they supplement the Board of Alder people, and maybe 14 people might be able to do the job.
Thank you so much, Ms. Laura. Appreciate it. I think I remember you from another hearing, and you always seem to be engaged in the community. So thank you for continuing to be engaged. We really always appreciate your comments.
Oh, you're welcome.
Madam
I love
Clerk?
meetings.
Madam Clerk?
Chairman Boyd, that is the end of the speakers list.
Okay, so basically we are at the end of public input for tonight. We will have another session tomorrow, but let me say, I'll talk about some takeaways, or at least a takeaway. What I heard was maybe the information that we put out wasn't put out in a way that people fully understood. And so if we erred in that, I'm going to lean on my colleagues to ensure that, we do the email blast, the social media blast to inform people about the correct way to sign up so that we don't have the hiccup that we have. I want to appreciate my colleague from the 11th Ward, although I feel the frustration and the pain, but there was no malice intent on trying to stop anybody from talking. People that know me know I'm more than willing to be transparent and give people the right opportunities to voice their concerns, because public discourse is extremely important if we want to make our city a better and healthy city. So some of the dialogue that I heard was very enlightening. And again, this was about the public input. It was not about the members of the Board of Aldermen. These next 2 days is totally about input from the public. We will have an opportunity to engage each other. That is the chairman. I was charged with doing the public engagement for tonight and tomorrow night. So my duty is to ensure that I hear from the public. We started off slow. And again, I want to apologize if anybody offended, because I said that I was disappointed that we only had 4 people sign up. But then as the conversation went on, I understood better why we didn't have a lot of people signed up. But guess what? We had an opportunity to correct that. And so we were able to elevate people who were at participant status, attendee status, to participant status. I was expecting to go to 9 o'clock tonight. It's 7:37 according to my clock. And we are done with public input tonight. So I am grateful that we had an opportunity to allow as many people who logged in as possible to participate. And again, we want to be as transparent as possible. And certainly transparency means different things to different people. And quite honestly, if we just really want to be honest, it's about whose agenda is being pushed as it relates to transparency. There's no intent to be disparaging against each other as colleagues or the executive branch of government, because at the end of the day, this is the city of St. Louis, and the people elected us to represent them at the end of the day. This is a historic process that we're engaged in redistricting. This has never happened before. It's almost like creating a whole new city. And unfortunately, when we should have gotten the data in March or April, we didn't get it to September or October or so. And so that has really put us behind the 8 ball. And the train is moving fast down the track because there is a deadline. And I know, I'm not the chairman of legislation, but if I was, I would have loved to have had 3 or 4 months to engage the public and have more dialogue. But that's not the case. I'm glad to hear the comment about St. Louis County. I think we're moving at a pretty good pace compared to what other counties in the state of Missouri is doing. And I'm grateful again for the comment that was made, again, from the Alderwoman of the 11th Ward. I felt the frustration, I felt the pain. There was no ill will. The intent is to do this the right way, the best we can, and not leave anybody out. So I just want to say that as a statement before I close. But I do want to recognize my colleague from the 19th because she has her hand up, and I want to be respectful. So Alderwoman from the 19th, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to ask if we could take time, because time is really what we're been talking about all night. And maybe we can come up with just a few thoughts from each committee person, so that we can be even more prepared tomorrow and or get information out to more citizens by tomorrow's meeting. And so one of the things that I wanted to suggest is, I know it's pretty easy to use Contact Us. And if that would be possible to get that out to as many people as possible by tomorrow. But that was my only comment. I did appreciate those who spoke, and we had some very good ideas come out of this. Thank you.
Okay, very good point. And again, to make the process even better, I think it's a great idea if we did go to each committee member and just, what I'm asking is that if there's a way for us to inform the public a little better, then let's offer that. I want to be as constructive as possible. And please forgive me as I'm talking, and I'm going to try to find the list of committee members so that I can call on people in order. And I am.
I have it readily available.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Can you just call on my behalf, Madam Clerk, please?
So it's yourself, Alderwoman Davis, and then Alderman Vaccaro.
Alderman Vaccaro, you recognize.
Yes, I've been listening to everything, and, we did, the president of the board did do, I saw you on the news. You were on.
Okay, Alderman Vaccaro, I don't mean to cut you off and be disrespectful, but for the sake of time, I don't want to get into a committee debate about anything. So if we can just offer what we can do in addition to what we've done.
I'll go back on TV. The president was already on TV. I'm just saying, when I'm not debating, I'm just saying I think we've done everything, but let's go back on TV, see if we can do a press conference tomorrow. I would assume everybody's got a TV or a radio. So I'm just saying, in my opinion, I think we've tried every different. Again, I'm not debating it, but I guess we can go back on TV and tomorrow, I guess you can do a press conference. But I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Coder.
Move on, Madam Clerk.
Alderwoman Boyd.
I have no questions. I just wanted to thank the public that came out and they're very passionate about their concerns and the questions that they did ask. And so I look forward to them, people coming tomorrow. And I really believe it'll be more people coming tomorrow. And so as the chair of the committee tonight stated, we have a lot of work to do, and it's a totally different process than it's ever been in the history of this city. And so we might not be getting all the points right, but we are trying as a legislative body to try to make sure that we're as fair as possible to our community. Thank you.
All righty, Alderman Muhammad, I can pick it up now. Thank you, Madam Clerk. It's Alderman Muhammad. Okay, thank you, Alderman Muhammad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to thank the president because I think that he has done a phenomenal job in making sure that we get this information out to the public. I've seen him myself at several town hall meetings in the past 2 weeks. But I think we just have to continuously do community outreach and citizen engagement and keep doing exactly what we're doing. Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, I just want to clear up something that I keep hearing, that we've had 9 years to create a map. And it's more like 9 weeks. We did not get the census data from the federal government until the end of September. And that's what we're using to redraw our maps. I just want to make sure that that is clear to the general public. Again, I want to thank the president and his staff. And I thank Chairman Vollmer and you, Alderman Boyd, for your leadership on this committee. I know it is a tough task. But again, we just have to keep doing constituent outreach. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Alderman Oldenburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have much other than I want to thank all the speakers. This is the democratic process that we're seeing in front of us. And Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for letting all those who didn't sign up but that showed up the ability to speak tonight.
Thank you. Alderwoman Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for allowing those folks who did not sign up but showed up to speak, like Alderman Oldenburg said. I do think that we need to send emails to the email addresses that the aldermen submitted with the neighborhood organizations. Not everything is correct on not all the email addresses or contacts are updated on the city's list. I know we've had some turnover in my ward. So I want to make sure those folks do get the official email from the Board of Aldermen. I hope we post the 143 comments that have been submitted thus far, the written testimony. I think that's important. I also think it's important that we answer some questions. It's really hard to testify on something that when you are not sure what the qualifiers are, what the methodology was. And so I think it's fair game to answer questions. We also need to make sure the folks that do sign up aren't receiving their emails after the committee meeting begins. I know that happened tonight, and I know that it's busy and everyone's doing their best. And I think that we do need to make sure though that people do get that information before the meeting. And maybe we need to consider waiving the sign up. Maybe we just let panelists speak. Like I said, pre-pandemic, people who showed up were allowed to speak at the meetings. We did have a sign-in list, but people were allowed to speak. We also need a legible map with street level views. Again, people just don't know where some of these lines are. I'm not really sure where some of the lines are by the map that's posted on our website. And then I do hope that there will be another opportunity for the public to weigh in on what will be the next draft and the final draft after that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman Navarro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I also want to say thank you to everyone who showed up tonight, either to speak or to watch and to listen. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing those in attendance who hadn't signed up previously to speak. I agree with my colleagues. I think it's better just to err on the side of letting people testify if they've made an attempt to be here. So thank you. Thank you for that. And I think most of what I was thinking, contacting the neighborhood groups, I think would be great. And I think we also need to let people know, maybe we just need to put it in bold, you've got to please sign up ahead of time. Even, I don't think it needs to be a requirement, but I understand it would definitely help things move along. And also maybe let people know they have to be able to be on video in order to testify. I don't know that was in the flyer, but that might help with some folks who might be calling in from a phone or calling in from various places. And if they can get set up properly, that might help as well. And I think we had about 19 people speak tonight. And one of the things I brought up in the hearing last week was it would be really great if we could keep track of where we're hearing from people so that we can identify if there are gaps. And it sounds like we've got a lot of great written testimony so far, so that's wonderful. But if there is a way to, and I see President Reed nodding his head, that would be great. If there's a way for us to say, we've heard a lot from this part of town, we need to hear from these folks over here, that might help with some of our outreach as well. And other than that, I just reiterate, I think the more, if we can, I know the map's not final, but if people are able to see what's out there, at least, they're going to be able to give better feedback as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank everyone for coming out and voicing their opinion. Most of the ideas that I was thinking someone has already said, so thank you.
All right, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I want to echo the people that took the time to come out and get on this meeting. I know all of us have been doing the best we probably can with our social medias, with our word of mouth, with texting, all kind of ways of sending out this information to make sure we get as many people on. I did get a lot of calls from people today that were saying they were going to listen in today and be prepared to make comments tomorrow. So that's good, which is something that I was thinking about as well. But I do want to make sure we also look at like the comments in the YouTube airing of this, and even pay attention to some of the other comments, mainly because there's a lot of misinformation going around. I saw a lot of misinformed PDFs, misinformed data charts going around today. And it was kind of not wanting to go back and forth with people. So I'm hoping that they were engaged in looking and getting the correct information, correct ward districts, all of those kind of things, so that we can move forward collectively and be on the same page. I do want to note that one of the main concerns I got, and I heard it this evening as well, is that the perpetuation of the Delmar divide. And I want people to understand that the argument of trying to keep neighborhoods together, there's going to have to be a balance there. If you want to keep neighborhoods together, some of them, then it is going to go down lines like Delmar. But if you want to work together collectively to try to break the Delmar divide, then we're going to have to massage, I think is the word that's been used today, some of these boundaries. And so you'll have to give in on the keeping the neighborhoods together, especially when you have people that want to work together. So I think there were a lot of good comments made. I'm actually going to go back and listen to them again. I was able to print out some of the other maps and make boundary things for some of my constituents that was on today that couldn't read the maps. And I think that's our responsibility, all of us. So thank you all for being on here. Be ready to answer questions, I'm sure, tonight and in the morning, and be ready to get back on tomorrow, hopefully with even more feedback.
Thank you. And before I go to the president and for maybe potential closing remarks, I just want to say to Alderwoman Navarro's comment about where people are coming from and testifying, that is one of the reasons why I require people to give at least 100 blocks of where they live, so that people kind of know. So we have for a record who's testifying from what areas of the city. So that was very enlightening, and certainly there may be a story in that and maybe a story tomorrow. But that is why I, as a chair, every chair may not do that, but I require that. And I know it's not something in the rule, but it's the rule of the chair, because the chair is the one who regulates and facilitates their meeting. So that was very helpful. So I'm glad you kind of pointed that out. Neighborhood groups, if there's any older person that want to know all the neighborhood groups or associations that have been emailed, please contact Mary Goodman in the president's office. I spent a lot of time trying to gather that data and getting the input from my colleagues. And what I found was that that data was, as Alderwoman Martin said, some of that data was not correct. But instead of me not emailing to the person that I didn't get from that older person, I left that person's email address in there and I just added it. So some neighborhood groups probably got 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 emails, not that many, but 4 or 5 groups got emails to 2 different people because I wasn't sure on what may be accurate. But again, if you want to know who we emailed to in the spirit of, again, all transparency, please contact the president's office for that list. I did spend a lot of good time on that. As far as map streets, I think I heard that over and over again. So if there's a way that we can produce the maps with the alphabets and people can read the street divides on it, if you will, that may be helpful and may be helpful for tomorrow, because I project that tomorrow may be more even robust hearing. There's a difference between a town hall meeting and a public hearing. Legislatively, by law, we have hearings. And so we have hearings, there's not a lot of back and forth with the public ask us questions as a member of the committee, and we're obligated to answer. But when we go out in our communities, one of the responsibilities that we have as members of the Board of Aldermen, we have town hall meetings. The mayor have town hall meetings. And that's when we really engage the community and create this public discourse whereby there's the back and forth. And boy, can that get out of hand. But at the end of the day, the public do have a right to ask questions. But when we do public hearings, that's not necessarily so. We wish we could, but imagine, if you will, all members of the Board of Aldermen, if we started that, we would not be able to get through to everybody who wanted just to give comments. So I just wanted to give a little bit of that commentary, especially the difference between town halls and hearings, because I feel the frustration from constituents when they want to ask questions and they want us to answer the questions. And then what we end up doing is engaging into debate. And that's why I always ask, I always let people who testify, if there's an alderman that want to pick it up and ask, then they're free to do that. So with that, Mr. President, if you want to close, it's on you.
Yeah, I would just like to thank everyone who attended tonight. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and all of the aldermen, but most especially thanks to all the residents. At one point, I thought I saw just on this side of the wall upwards of 100 people. So when you take a look at what was on YouTube and other streaming sources, there are going to be a lot more. So I think that was good, and I think that was some good engagement. We heard some good information come back, this is again taking steps through the process. And as you said in the opening, some of the things that we're doing through this process is just totally unprecedented. I just encourage the public to continue to stay engaged. To the alderwoman from the 26 talked about the idea of keeping neighborhoods together while at the same time trying to really eliminate the Del Mar divide, or make some progress to change the dynamics that happen around the Del Mar divide. One of the practical challenges is that neighborhood boundaries, the way they're currently drawn, they go right down Del Mar. So you have one neighborhood on one side, neighborhood on the other side. To the people who are still on, really want you to know that that's part of what we've been looking at in this map also. So a lot of the aldermen that are on this call tonight, even some that aren't part of the committee, that's part of the things that they brought to the table that they wanted to also make sure that we begin to change. So we're working through all those things. And again, if you have an apparatus to get information out to people, please get information out to people. It's going to take all of us, not just the members of the board, not just myself. I think about it, we have the links and information everywhere. We've been on, I've been on radio, TV, various different internet portals. We've got links posted on, websites and commercial and news outlets all over town. And we sending out hundreds of mailers to people and individuals. None of it will never be enough. That's still not enough, right? So if there's anything that you all can do through your Twitter accounts, through your Facebook accounts to post it and repost it, that'd be great. I've seen some of the aldermen really work to get the information out. You know, I don't want to call some of them out, but I know I saw the other one from the 15th was really pushing information out to 26. The 19th, the 27th, you know, and 4th. And some of these people really, and the 28th have been really pushing this information out. And, you know, if you are on any of their streams and you get it, if you can repost it and push it, that'll help also. That'll just help us get more people involved and engaged. And the other thing is, if you ask a question, it's not like that question is going to be ignored. So we're taking that information in. If you saw me looking down, sometimes I was taking notes to make sure that we can respond to some of those questions that were asked. So understand that if you asked a question, but you don't feel like anyone answered you here tonight, that question didn't fall on deaf ears, right? That question will be factored into the things that we're doing in terms of trying to get a representative map that will begin to address some of the structural issues within our city and lay a pathway to become a more unified city moving forward. Mr. Chairman, I thank you for giving me the time to talk tonight. And again, thanks to absolutely everyone that showed up and that spent their time giving us feedback tonight.
With that, Mr. President, thank you so much. And again, with that, we are adjourned. The legislative committee is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.